Hi guys, it's Miss Simon. So I wanted to do this video today for science. So make sure you have your notes out, your science notebook and a pencil, because we're going to take down some notes here today. So before we start, I wanted to review what we talked about last time you guys had a video. Okay, we were talking about the observable properties of matter. So remember, observable means you can see it. So we talked about one of the major observable properties of matter. The first one that scientists use, remember, is color. Okay, so color is a physical and observable property of matter. And scientists, remember, use color to determine what a substance is made of. Okay, but we also learned that color can be deceiving, which means color isn't always a good judge of what type of matter something is, because we learned, remember, color is deceiving because there's many substances that come in the same color. Okay, so scientists can't always rely on color. Remember, we talked about the difference between a diamond and cubic zirconium. Okay, they look like the same thing, they are the same color, so it is hard to tell them apart. So scientists have to use other physical properties to determine some types of matter. And those other properties are what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so these other properties of matter. Okay, remember, make sure you have your notes. I'm going to be highlighting things and you need to be writing them down in your notebook. So fortunately, there are many other ways in which we can describe matter that can help us determine what makes up an object. Besides color, scientists can also look at hardness, is the first one. Okay, so go ahead and make sure in your notes you have other properties of matter. Okay, and the first one you're going to write down is hardness. Okay, hardness is very simple. It's how hard something is. Okay, so does it easily break or not? Okay, as an example, we see diamonds here are the hardest stones, which means they will not easily break. Okay, so hardness is a measure of how easily something breaks. And we can look at things very simple. So if we look at maybe like a marker versus a sticky note, okay? Obviously, we know that the marker is a lot harder than the sticky note, okay? If I pull on the marker, it's not going to break. But if I pull on the sticky note, it easily rips, okay? The next property of matter that scientists look at is shininess, okay? Shininess is just how shiny something is. So we know that things like metal, okay, metal is a pretty shiny substance, okay, but when we have things like paper, paper is not so shiny. When you have your rings and things like that, those are made from shiny metal or shiny substance, okay, but something as simple as like a piece of paper is not going to be shiny, okay. So shininess is just how shiny something is, okay. The opposite of shiny is something we call dull. Okay, dull means not shiny. All right, the next one is one that's not, you might have not heard before. This is something you call electrical conductivity. Okay, so electrical conductivity is how easily electric flows through something. Okay, so if something is electrically conductive, electricity flows through it easily. Okay, so if we think of things like metal, okay, and like those surge protectors or plugs that you plug into the wall, those are made of a type of metal that is electrically conductive, which means electricity can flow through it. We've also been told, I'm sure as a kid, to not stick a fork in a light socket, if you've ever heard that scenario, okay? People say that because the metal that the fork is made out of is electrically conductive, so it would shock you, okay? The big thing that is not electrically conductive is rubber, okay? Rubber, electricity cannot flow through rubber. And we think of, that's why we see some workers, okay, construction workers and electrical workers, they wear rubber boots because electricity cannot flow through them. Also, if you think about your cars, okay, they say one of the safest places to be in a lightning storm is in your car because the rubber tires, okay, the electricity can't flow through them. So remember, electrical conductivity is how easily electric flows through something. The next one, which I'm sure you've all heard before, is magnetism. Magnetism is just if something sticks to it, okay? So we use magnets and things that we put on our fridge, okay? Iron, things that are made of iron are usually magnetic, like nails and paper clips, okay? So magnetism is just if something sticks to it. And the last one that we're going to talk about that scientists look at is something called solubility, okay? Solubility is just if it dissolves in water. So if something is soluble, it means it dissolves in water, okay? So if we think of things that might dissolve in water, okay? If you ever get sick and you have to take the Alka-Seltzer tablets, you drop it in water and it bubbles and it dissolves, okay? You guys drink Kool-Aid mix, like the lemonade and stuff like that. You pour the packet in there and it dissolves in the water. So that is soluble. If you guys use bath bombs, those are soluble, okay? But you also have materials that are not soluble. If you were to drop a paper clip in water, the paper clip is not going to dissolve, so it is not soluble, okay? So solubility is if something dissolves in water. And I'm sure you guys can think of many other examples of things that are soluble. All right, so now that we know these other properties of matter, it's important to see, okay, when we closely examine the diamond and the cubic zirconium, one fact is that diamond reflections are gray and cubic zirconium shows a rainbow. So we're talking about shininess and reflections. The diamond reflects gray and the cubic zirconium reflects rainbow. So now looking at these, okay, which one is going to be the diamond? Which one reflects gray? You said the one on the left, you are correct. Okay, you can see that this one is reflecting gray, whereas this one is kind of reflecting with rainbows. Which of the following is not an easily observable property of matter? So this is something, the hint is you cannot observe this without completely destroying it. Okay, so color, hardness, flammability, or magnetism. Which of these is going to be the hardest to test? Okay, if you said flammability, you are correct, because in order for us to test flammability, as you can see, it's how well it burns, which means you would have to light it on fire. Okay, so that would essentially be destroying the substance. So that one is going to be the hardest to test. A property of rubber is that electricity flows through it well. True or false? A property of rubber is that electricity flows through it well. If you said false, you are correct. Remember, we just discussed that rubber does not, electricity cannot flow through rubber. That's why we have rubber tires on our cars, and that's why we have electrical workers that wear rubber boots, because the electricity cannot flow through it. All right, so that is it for today. Make sure after you watch this video, you go watch the video of the car getting electrocuted, okay? And you'll be able to see that the rubber prevents the electricity from flowing through the car. See ya, have a great day.